Love him or hate him, you got to admit, Donald Trump literally changed American politics forever. Welcome to this Explainer. Today, we're tracing the extraordinary chronological evolution of Donald Trump. We're going to take a neutral, strictly fact-based look at how he went from a Queens real estate family all the way to becoming the 45th and ultimately the 47th U.S. president. I mean, from New York skyscrapers to reality TV fame to the ultimate seat of global power, he's built one of the most controversial and attention-grabbing careers in modern history. Let's dive in. So, here's the fundamental question we have to ask ourselves, right? How exactly did a businessman with absolutely zero military or political experience convince millions of Americans to vote for him? Was it his unshakable confidence? Was it his undeniable media power and, mastery of the camera? Or was America just simply ready for someone completely different from the traditional political establishment? Today, we're unpacking the full story: his childhood, the business empire, his rise to fame, the political journey, and how he became one of the most influential figures in U.S. history.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Queen's years, childhood to early adulthood.
Now, as you can see in these photos tracking his progression from childhood right up to his adult years, you really start to see the foundation for his entire career. Born in 1946 in Queens, he grew up in a wealthy family. His dad, Fred Trump, was a super successful developer focused on middle-class housing. And from a very young age, Donald was known for being incredibly energetic, highly competitive, and extremely ambitious. Actually, at age 13, his parents sent him to the New York Military Academy. They were hoping the strict environment would give him some much-needed discipline. And honestly, it worked remarkably well. He became a star athlete, a student leader, and developed that signature aggressive confidence that would later completely define his brand. After military school, he eventually transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, graduating in 1968 from the Wharton School with an economics degree. That's an Ivy League credential he'd frequently point to later on as proof he was qualified to lead.
Moving right along to Section 2, building the Trump brand in the 1970s and 1980s.
So in the 70s and 80s, Donald Trump didn't just build buildings, he built a persona. His biggest breakthrough, hands down, was constructing Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. It instantly became this massive symbol of wealth, luxury, and power. By the 1980s, Trump was literally everywhere. We're talking luxury hotels, massive casinos in Atlantic City, private jets, and constantly popping up on magazine covers and at huge celebrity events. He successfully marketed himself not just as a real estate guy, but as a living, breathing brand. Across America, the name Trump became deeply associated with a very specific, flashy kind of success.
But of course, the climb is never a perfectly straight line, is it? The 1990s brought massive turbulence. His empire hit a wall, accumulating huge debts, with several of his casinos and business ventures actually filing for bankruptcy protection. At the time, plenty of critics and business analysts thought his career was completely over, done. But Trump understood something incredibly powerful about American culture. Media attention can rebuild influence. If you stay in the spotlight, you can rewrite your narrative.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the power of television in 2004. In 2004, Trump became the star of the massive hit TV show The Apprentice. Week after week, contestants battled it out in high-stakes business challenges, and Trump judged them, eliminating them with two incredibly famous words: "You're fired." The show was an absolute cultural phenomenon. It turned him into a nationwide celebrity of the highest order. Millions of Americans tuned in and saw this carefully crafted image of him as a tough, decisive, highly successful boss. And this is absolutely vital to understand. Many voters later on didn't actually know Trump from his 80s real estate deals. They knew him from their living rooms. He proved that in modern America, media power can seamlessly translate into political power.
Next up is Section 4, the political outsider, starting in 2015.
Fast forward to 2015, he shocked political experts everywhere by bringing that famous TV persona directly into the political arena. Remember the Golden Escalator? He rode down it to announce his run for president as a Republican. Now, most political experts initially just laughed at him. I mean, no government experience, no military background, no history of holding office whatsoever. But Trump understood something that a lot of seasoned politicians completely missed. Millions of Americans were deeply angry. They were mad about disappearing jobs, closed factories, and a system they felt was totally ignoring them. They felt immigration was out of control and the political establishment was fundamentally corrupt. Even though he was a billionaire, he tapped directly into this profound frustration, speaking to folks who felt entirely left behind by the modern economy.
He spoke directly to those frustrations using simple, aggressive language. He mastered social media,
and created these massive viral moments at wildly energetic rallies. And he tied the whole shebang together with an unforgettable slogan, "Make America Great Again." It quickly became one of the most recognizable political messages in U.S. history. He basically bypassed the traditional political filters and just used his media savvy to dominate the news cycle every single day.
Now, looking at this slide, it perfectly captures the deep divide over his qualifications. It was a fierce national debate. On one side, supporters argued his business and negotiation skills meant he could run the country more efficiently and score better trade deals. They loved his strong economic messaging and saw his anti-establishment independence as a huge breath of fresh air. But on the other side, critics argued fiercely that he had absolutely no government or diplomatic experience. They felt he lacked crucial policy expertise and saw his rhetoric as deeply divisive and frankly dangerous for the country. The nation was fundamentally split on what made someone qualified to sit in the Oval Office.
And that fierce debate culminated in one of the greatest political upsets in history. In 2016, Donald Trump defeats Hillary Clinton. The victory completely shocked the mainstream media, polling analysts, and honestly, even members of his own Republican Party. For his supporters, it was the ultimate proof that everyday Americans could rise up and beat the entrenched political establishment. For his critics, it marked a terrifying and dangerous turning point. Regardless of how you viewed it, in January 2017, the ultimate outsider became the 45th president of the United States.
All right, Section 5, Presidency and Deep Division 2017 to 2021.
His time in the Oval Office was marked by exactly what we saw on the campaign trail. Fierce loyalty from his base and intense, highly organized opposition from his detractors. The nation quickly became deeply polarized. Side by side here, you can see supporters praised his administration for passing major tax cuts, overseeing strong pre-COVID economic growth, pushing strict border security, and championing an America First trade strategy. In stark contrast, critics fiercely attacked his unconventional rhetoric, hardline immigration policies, the constant political conflicts, and his unprecedented, totally unfiltered use of social media to go after opponents. Then, of course, came the COVID-19 pandemic, a crisis that completely reshaped American life and became the central issue of the 2020 election.
Following a totally tumultuous year of pandemic lockdowns and social unrest, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden. Now, historically, defeated one-term presidents tend to kind of fade away from the spotlight, quietly retiring from party leadership. But Donald Trump's grip on the Republican Party, it remained absolute.
Which leads us to Section 6, the historic return.
Even after leaving the White House, he never really left the political stage, did he? He kept holding massive rallies, dominating media coverage, and maintaining a wildly loyal political base. Despite endless investigations, historic court cases, and nonstop media criticism, he remained right at the absolute center of American politics. And again, viewed entirely differently depending on who you asked. His supporters saw him as this relentless, unstoppable fighter taking on a corrupt political establishment on their behalf. Opponents viewed his continued influence as a profound and serious threat to democratic norms and institutions.
Defying literally all odds and historical precedent, Donald Trump achieved something incredibly rare in U.S. history. By holding onto his base and once again channeling national frustrations, he returned to power, not just as the 45th, but as the 47th President of the United States.
Whether you admire the man or oppose him, Donald Trump's evolution from a Queensborough to a global political force is a story that goes way beyond just politics. It's a testament to the sheer power of media and celebrity influence in the modern age. It reflects deep-seated American frustrations and very real economic fears. It highlights the changing nature of our national identity, and honestly, it represents a massive, undeniable shift in what modern leadership even looks like. For better or worse, he forever changed the rules of political communication.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with one final question to think about. Looking at this entire journey, from Queens real estate to reality TV to a historic two-term, non-consecutive presidency, was Donald Trump exactly what America needed to shake up a broken system? Or was he the beginning of a chaotic new political era that literally nobody expected? Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.